If I had a low IQ, I would not be able to check Trump like this. That one sentence, delivered with steady fire and crystal clarity, shook the internet. It was not a tweet. It was not a meme. It came straight from the lips of Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, sitting across from a CNN host, live on national television. Within minutes, the clip exploded. TikTok edits flooded timelines. Reels spun it into music-backed remixes. Political commentators stopped mid-segment to play it back. Even late-night hosts could not help but replay the moment with their own reactions layered on top. Something about it felt different. Something about this moment felt personal. What started as just another cable news interview quickly became a flashpoint. Not just about politics, not just about Trump, but about race, gender, and the right to be unapologetically smart, black, and bold in a system designed to punish all three. It all began when former President Donald Trump publicly labeled Jasmine Crockett as someone with one of the lowest IQs in Congress. A throwaway insult to some, a recycled jab for others. But Crockett was not having it. Not this time. She looked directly into the camera and made it clear. This was not about defending her intelligence. It was about confronting the bigger picture. It was about standing up to a man who has built a brand on belittling anyone who dares to challenge him, especially if they are women of color, and the world listened. On this video, we are breaking down that viral moment. We are going to look at exactly what was said, why it hit so hard, and what it says about the country right now. Because when one woman speaks truth to power on live TV, the ripple effect can be bigger than anyone expected. Stay tuned. This is Unscripted Stories, where we decode viral political drama with truth, clarity, and real emotion. Every week we bring you the stories behind the headlines, told with the honesty they deserve and the fire they were born from. If you believe that voices like Jasmine Crockett's deserve to be heard louder, unfiltered, and without apology, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Your support helps keep these stories alive and in the spotlight, where they belong. Now let us dive in and unpack the moment that turned a CNN interview into a national reckoning. It all started with one line from Donald Trump, standing on stage at a rally, surrounded by his usual crowd. He pointed to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and said, "She has one of the lowest IQs in Congress." That was it. No facts, no context. Just another insult tossed out like red meat to his supporters. But that line was not new. It was part of a pattern. Trump has used this exact type of language before, especially when talking about women of color in Congress. Remember when he went after Maxine Waters? He said she was very low IQ. He has done the same to members of the squad, calling them stupid or not intelligent enough to be in office. It is a script he knows by heart, and he repeats it whenever someone challenges him with facts he cannot dismiss. The comment about Jasmine did not come from nowhere. It was posted across his Truth Social page, picked up by right-wing blogs, and repeated by supporters on social media. Some tried to laugh it off. Others acted like it was just part of Trump's usual tough talk. But for many Americans, this felt like a deeper cut. It was not just the insult, it was the target. Jasmine Crockett is a black woman who rose through the ranks by being sharp, informed, and unapologetically vocal. She has gained a reputation for her fierce presence in congressional hearings and her ability to speak directly without sugarcoating. So when Trump took aim at her intelligence, people saw it for what it really was. Some called it racist. Others called it sexist. Many said it was both. Because these kinds of attacks always seem to fall on the same group. Women who do not back down. Women who do not fit into the mold of what Trump or his base believe a respectable politician should look or sound like. The public reaction came fast. Social media lit up. Commentators on MSNBC and CNN started pointing out the pattern. People began sharing clips of Jasmine's sharpest moments, putting them side by side with Trump's insult. And just like that, the spotlight shifted. The conversation turned. People wanted to hear from Jasmine herself. And when she finally spoke, it was clear she was not going to let it slide. When Jasmine Crockett sat down for that CNN interview, she was calm, focused, and fully prepared. There was no yelling, no dramatic gestures, just a woman who had reached her limit and was ready to speak clearly, not only for herself, but for every person tired of being disrespected because of who they are and where they come from. She looked straight into the camera and made it plain. She said she did not need to prove her intelligence to someone who has spent decades tearing people down and never once passed real legislation to improve lives. She did not raise her voice. She did not crack a smile. Her tone was steady, like someone delivering a closing argument in court. Because that is who she is. A former public defender who knows how to stand her ground with words alone. Her body language was controlled but strong. She leaned forward slightly, hands resting calmly, shoulders back. There was no nervous energy, just purpose. Every word felt intentional. Every pause was earned. She wanted to be clear, not just about the insult, but about the message behind it. She said plainly that this was not the first time a black woman in power had been called unintelligent. It happens often, and it is always when that woman refuses to stay quiet. She talked about how Trump's biggest fear is not just losing power, it is losing to someone he never thought could match him, an unapologetic black voice that speaks with truth and refuses to back down. Jasmine pointed out that intelligence is not about who shouts the loudest or who gets the biggest crowd to cheer. It is about clarity, it is about conviction, it is about knowing your values and standing by them, even when the entire room wants you to sit down. She reminded the viewers that while Trump keeps repeating the same old lines, she is doing the work. She is showing up in hearings, writing policy, asking the hard questions. That is what leadership looks like. As soon as the clip aired, the internet exploded. Twitter flooded with support. Hashtags like #StandWithJasmine and #LowIQ started trending. TikTok creators remixed her words with music, turning them into viral sounds. People were not just watching, they were responding. In the comments section of CNN's post, thousands of users praised her calm and clarity. One person wrote, "She did more with 5 minutes than some people do with 5 years in Congress." Another said, "She did not clap back. She rose above it. This was not just a moment. It was a mirror." Jasmine Crockett gave people a voice, and in doing so, she exposed the deeper truth behind Trump's insult. It was never about IQ. It was about fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of being challenged by someone he cannot silence. And Jasmine made sure that message came through loud and clear. Before that viral CNN interview, Jasmine Crockett was already making waves in Congress. People who follow politics closely knew her name. Not because of controversy, but because of her work. She is not new to pressure, and she is not new to standing in rooms where she is expected to stay quiet. Crockett serves on the House Oversight Committee, one of the most high-profile panels in Congress. That means she is often right at the center of tough investigations and political showdowns. She asks pointed questions. She reads every line. She does not come in for sound bites. She comes in ready. Before entering politics, she built her career as a public defender. She was the person standing next to people who had no one else. She fought for the people the system usually forgets. That experience shaped how she talks, how she listens, and how she leads. It also gave her a deep understanding of how laws affect real lives. Since joining Congress, she has introduced bills aimed at improving voting access, reforming the justice system, and protecting civil rights. She does not just talk about problems, she tries to fix them. Her work often flies under the radar, but her record speaks for itself. She is also known for her sharp tongue during hearings. One of her most talked about moments came during a tense exchange with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Crockett stayed cool, made her point, and walked away with the upper hand. Clips of that moment still circulate online because people could see it. Clearly, she was in control, and she made it count. People are now calling her one of the rising stars of the Democratic Party. Not because she is chasing attention, but because she is earning respect. And that is exactly what made Trump's comment so ridiculous. It ignored everything she has built, everything she has done, everything that made her a threat to people who rely on noise instead of results. Once Jasmine Crockett's interview hit the airwaves, the reactions came fast and from every direction. It was not just viewers at home talking. It was lawmakers, journalists, and commentators across the political spectrum. Everyone had something to say. But within an hour, Democratic leaders began posting support. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, "Jasmine Crockett spoke truth to power." Again, Ilhan Omar called her a sharp and fearless leader and reminded followers that these attacks were not new, just louder. Many others followed. Some kept it simple with hashtags like #IST and with Jasmine and #LowIQ backfire, which quickly began trending on Twitter and Instagram. Centrists responded more cautiously. A few praised her calm tone and professional delivery, while others tried to stay neutral. They said things like, both sides need to lower the temperature, but people were quick to point out that the temperature was raised the moment Trump threw out his insult. Jasmine was simply answering fire with facts. On the other end, right media had their own spin. Fox News ran segments suggesting Crockett overreacted and accused her of playing the victim. Newsmax went even further, calling the interview a publicity stunt. Their headlines focused more on Trump's original quote than on the substance of her reply. They framed the whole thing as a distraction from real issues. Though many viewers were already calling out that framing online, MSNBC, on the other hand, ran clips of her interview for days. Hosts called it one of the most powerful political moments of the week. CNN, where the interview first aired, followed up with panel discussions breaking down her points one by one. Commentators highlighted the clarity in her language, the strength in her delivery, and the deeper meaning behind what she said. What made it bigger than just a TV moment was how people responded. The internet turned her words into rallying cries. The #LowIQ backfire started appearing on shirts, signs, and videos. Creators made side-by-side edits of Trump's insult and Jasmine's response. setting them to music or powerful voice. Some even posted personal stories about being underestimated and linked those stories to what Jasmine said on live TV. In a matter of days. It was clear this was no longer about one comment. It was about the pattern, the pushback, and the way one woman's calm truth cut through all the noise. It became a movement, and Jasmine Crockett stood at the center of it. Not just as a target, but as a voice people could rally behind. The moment Jasmine Crockett's clapback hit the airwaves, it took on a life of its own. TikTok exploded first. Users stitched the clip of her saying, "You call me low IQ because you fear what I know," and turned it into a soundtrack. Some danced to it. Others lip-synced with attitude. A few even turned it into a call-and-response chant. It was not just viral. It became a digital anthem for defiance. Then came the memes. Twitter lit up with screenshots of Trump's face mid-reaction. One meme showed Trump looking stunned with the caption, "When the low IQ hits you like a genius." Another flipped his own insult back on him. "Trump, she is low IQ. America, you are low battery." People got creative, and it was everywhere. Instagram stories, YouTube shorts, even Reddit threads dedicated to roasting Trump's outdated attacks. But it was not all jokes. Some reactions were powerful, raw, and emotional. Black women across the country responded with tears in their eyes. One TikTok showed a grandmother in Mississippi watching the clip and whispering, "That girl spoke for us." In another, a group of college students in Chicago sat huddled around a laptop, cheering like they had won a championship. Local news stations started running feel-good interviews. A community leader in Atlanta called it a moment of reclaiming power. One activist in Detroit said, "Jasmine reminded us that intelligence has never looked one way." Even more interesting was how different generations took it. Older folks seemed surprised by the boldness. Some said it was too harsh, but younger viewers, they embraced it. They saw Jasmine as fearless, a Gen Z icon, someone who did not just take the stage. She took the mic and made it her own. In the end, it was not just a reaction to Trump, it was a reaction to decades of dismissal, of being silenced, of being underestimated. And Jasmine flipped that on its head, in front of the whole world. There is a reason this moment with Jasmine Crockett struck such a deep chord. It was not just about a political jab or another viral clip. It touched something older, something deeper, something that Black women in America have carried for generations. Often, when Black women speak out, they are met with the same tired labels: angry, loud, emotional, or the worst when it is a stereotype rooted in centuries of fear and control. It is not about what they say, but the fact that they say it. And when Crockett stood on that stage and calmly shut down a former president, she flipped that script. She was not loud. She was not emotional. She was measured, clear, and sharp. She made her point, then sat back and let the silence do the rest. That composure was not just strategy, it was power. And for many watching, especially Black women, it felt like a collective breath being released. This was not the first time we have seen a woman do this. Shirley Chisholm did it in the 70s when she refused to be anyone's token. Michelle Obama did it when she said, "When they go low, we go high." Kamala Harris did it in the Senate hearings, keeping her voice calm while her authority was constantly questioned. Crockett's moment is part of that same legacy, but it is also a mirror. It forces America to look at how it responds to strength when it comes from someone who is not white, who is not male, who is not willing to play along. Trump has used dog whistle politics for years. He knows how to fire up his base with just enough plausible deniability. But this time, it did not work the way he wanted. Crockett took the insult and turned it into a moment of dignity. And maybe that is what 2025 is really about. People are tired of old tactics, tired of fear disguised as leadership, and tired of watching the same playbook used on women who have already proved they are smarter, stronger, and more composed than anyone expected. What Crockett did was not just clap back. It was not just a political moment, it was cultural. It was personal, and it was history speaking through her. Trump sat across from her, smug and smugger, thinking he had the last word. But Jasmine Crockett leaned in, calm and confident, eyes locked onto his. Then she delivered the line that made America sit up. "This is not about intelligence, this is about moral courage, and I have more than enough." You could hear the room shift. The CNN host blinked. For a moment, he did not say anything. Not a word. You could feel the air tighten. The tension was not hostile, it was respect. You knew it when you saw it. Then one of the commentators clapped. Just a soft clap at first. Then the others followed. Not because they agreed with every policy, but because they understood strength when it walked in and sat down. Jasmine did not gloat. She did not smile wide. She just nodded once, almost like saying, "I said what I said," and let the moment hang in the air. Later that night, she sent out a tweet. Just 9 words, but they lit up the timeline. "We do not back down, we lead, always." That was it. No hashtags, no tagging anyone. Just a reminder that leadership does not always look like shouting. Sometimes it looks like standing your ground, speaking your truth, and letting the world catch up. If you are tired of hearing people use low IQ as a lazy insult, especially toward black women who stand tall and speak their minds, then leave a comment. Say something. Let it be known that those days are done. If you felt Jasmine Crockett handled herself with strength and class, then do not just keep it to yourself. Share this video. Let others see what it looks like when grace meets fire. Because this moment is not only about Jasmine, it is about every woman who has ever been told she is too loud, too bold, too much, every woman who has had her intelligence questioned just because she did not play small, just because she showed up with her full self black, brilliant, and unbothered. So, if you are here for that truth, hit that subscribe button. Real talk, real stories, every week, and let us leave you with the line that sealed the deal. The line that echoed louder than any insult. Let the record show. Jasmine never needed approval to speak truth to power. And neither do you.